Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Can you hear me? Ralph Miz, can you give me the thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, great. Ralph is my go-to person. All right. I hope it's been a meaningful day of learning. This class and today's SCA and Tanach study day of learning as a whole is sponsored in memory of Mrs. Stanley Chera A by the Chera family. Of course, a very special man who was a leader and who very much helped get the SCA started. So all of the Torah is in his memory as we wrap up what was hopefully a meaningful day. We have a beautiful week ahead of us. Tuesday is Yom HaZikaron, Israel Remembrance Day. We will remember and commemorate the young men and women who were killed in protecting our country. Wednesday is Yom Haasmaut, Israel Independence Day, 72 years. We celebrate our country, our home, our state. And it really is a very, very special week in that regard. The title for tonight's class was actually made up by somebody at the SCA because I did not have the title at the time that they wanted it. So if I don't talk about the future or the past, you'll have to forgive me. But we will talk about Eretz Israel. As we begin, it's important to note that the entire Torah, from beginning to end, the entire 5 books of Torah, really are all pointing in one direction. And that direction is Eretz Israel, and it starts from the beginning. Once society gets underway, we've created the world, and we've talked about the creation, and the world was destroyed, and then it was recreated, and we have now created a society that is going to perpetuate. Essentially, the first thing that's put on the table is Eretz Israel. Borei Olam chooses one man, and the first task he's given is Lech Lecha, pick up and leave from your land, from your birthplace, from your father's house, and go to the land that I'm going to show you, and that's Eretz Israel. So the first thing we're going to do as a functioning society is we're going to move in the direction of Eretz Israel. The backdrop of the entire Sefer Bereshit is Israel, whether it be in reality or in dream, it's Israel. Hashem promises Avraham Avinu a land and a people in Brit Ben Abitarim. He lives out his life in Eretz Israel. Yitzchak lives out his life in Eretz Israel. He doesn't leave. Yaakov is forced to leave because his brother is going to kill him, but he dreams about return, and eventually he does. His son Yosef is sold into slavery, which becomes the precursor to slavery and eventually Geulah in Eretz Israel. Sefer Shemot opens. Borei Olam chooses Moshe Rabbeinu to be the leader of the Jewish people, and he has one destination. Eretz Zavat Chalav Devash in Perek Gimel Pasuk Chet. He tells Moshe Rabbeinu, tell the Jewish people, I'm going to take you out, but it's not just about leaving one place, it's also about entering into another place. We're going to Israel. Sefer Shemot ends with the building of the Mishkan, the precursor of the Bet HaMikdash, which will lay at the center of the holiest city in the holiest place, country in the world. Sefer Vayikra is all about the worship in the Mishkan, again, setting the table for the Bet HaMikdash. Sefer Bimidbar opens, and we are poised to enter into Eretz Israel. We are getting our formations, our military strategy. We want to know who goes where. We're apportioning the land. We're ready. We're poised, and we're prepared to move. The sin of the spies happens, which we'll maybe talk about a little bit later, and we end up with a 40-year delay. Sefer Devarim is Moshe Rabbeinu's last will and testament. And he talks about what will be in a new reality, that new reality being Eretz Israel. He warns us about the lure of idolatry. He warns us about the ills of affluence. He warns us about what it is going to take to be successful in a new society, that being Eretz Israel. Eventually, he passes on with only the dream of moving into Eretz Israel, which you will not see become a reality. And we are standing on the threshold of moving into Eretz Israel. So the entire 5 books of Chumash are all pushing in the same direction, and everything that happens is leading into one place. We find the mitzvah to settle Eretz Israel at the end of Sefer Bimidbar. So you'll give me a moment just to share my screen with you so we can explore the sources together. as we navigate the Torah's discussion of, sorry, that was me, the Torah's mitzvah to settle Eretz Israel. At the end of Sefer Bimidbar, in source number 1, by Daber Adonai el Moshe be'arvot Moab al Yarden yerechol lemor. God talks to Moshe Rabbeinu in the plains of Moab. He's looking over into Eretz Yisrael. That's the closest he's going to get. It's a bird's eye view of the land that he will not enter. And he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Daber b'nei Yisrael ve'amarta lehem, tell the Jewish people, ki atem ovrim et hayarden eretz Canaan. You will go. What I can't have, you will have. והורשתם את כל יושבי הארץ מפניכם, ואיבדתם את כל משכירותם, ואת כל הצלמי מסכותם תאבדו, ואת כל במותם תשמידו. And you're going to push out the people who are living in the land now, and in so doing, you're going to destroy any and all semblance of Avodah Zarah is going to be completely wiped out. והורשתם את הארץ, you will inherit the land, וישבתם בה, you will settle it, because I'm giving you the land, Jewish people. The land is yours. How? You're going to apportion the land by lottery, and the lottery has parameters. So we're going to take two hats. In one hat, we have the name of a tribe, and the other hat, we have an apportioned land, and it will fall out so that the larger tribes get larger pieces of land and the smaller tribes get smaller pieces of land, but everybody's going to get a piece. And anybody that you don't drive out will be a thorn in your paw perpetually. And they will pain you that you are going into the land that you're going to live in. And as a consequence, if you don't push everybody out, whatever I dream up to do to them, says God, I will do to you. Here is the mitzvah to conquer the land. As a side note, it's interesting to note that there's some very harsh language here, as Borei Olam tells the Jewish people that they have to completely wipe out any and all semblance of Avodah Zarah, and essentially any societal icons or culture that existed beforehand. And the reason for that is, very importantly, because the clash of the Jewish people with the Canaanim, with the people who lived in Israel, the clash of the Jewish people with the people who live in Eretz Yisrael currently is not a clash so much about territory and resources and land as much as it is a clash of values. The Jewish people are the only people at this point in time who believe in one God with absolute power, who's giving us a moral code. And part of that moral code is to get rid of any semblance of Avodah Zarah. The two cannot coexist. And so we have to hit the reset button on the land. And by the way, we will read for the next 19 books of Tanach the struggle that the Jewish people have in ridding themselves and the land of that culture. Avodah Zarah comes back and forth, and there's a continuous struggle. Sefer Shoftim is up and down with worshipping Avodah Zarah. All throughout the Kings, Melachim, we see that struggle. So it's an important note, different discussion about the eradication of a culture as we move into Eretz Yisrael, but this is the mitzvah for settling Eretz Yisrael. The Ramban, in source number 2, has a very important insight on that mitzvah. First of all, the Ramban, in his Hasagot, takes the Rambam, Maimonides, takes the Rambam to task for the fact that the Rambam does not count in his list of 613 mitzvot, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. The Ramban is a huge proponent of living in Eretz Yisrael, to the point where he himself makes a very unlikely move. He's expelled from Spain in 1263, and he moves to Eretz Yisrael, and he takes root in Yerushalayim in 1267, and he spends the last few years of his life there, and he dies in 1270. Highly unlikely, not a very common thing at the time for people to do, but the Ramban does it. he fulfills the dream of living in Eretz Yisrael, and he notes in source number 2 on the mitzvah that we just read. He says, Al da'ati, zo mitzvat asehi. This is a mitzvat aseh. You have to live in Eretz Yisrael. That's one of the 613 mitzvot. Yitzuveh otam sheyeshvu ba'aretz v'yishu ota, ki hu natnat lahem v'lo yima'asu benachalat Hashem. It was given to us by God, and it should not be cast aside. Ve'ilu ya'aleh al da'adchem lalechet v'lichbosh eretz shin'ar o eretz ashur v'zulatan ulehityashev sham ya'avru al mitzvat Hashem. And if you think for a moment that you can conquer the same goal by taking up root in Shin'ar or Ashur or any other country on the planet, it is a violation of Borei Olam. And that's why the rabbis talk about living in Israel so many times over. And you're not allowed to leave the country. The Ramban's affinity and love for Eretz Yisrael is unparalleled. But if you read this carefully, the Ramban is saying something very important. The Ramban is saying that it's not just about the Jewish people being a sovereign nation in a country and setting up policies and society and law system and justice. It's not about that. If we were to create a society, a functioning society with a law system and a judicial system anywhere else on the planet, the vision is not accomplished. It has to be in Eretz Yisrael. There is an integral connection between the people and the land. The land is the vehicle by which we become a nation, and you can't have one without the other. Borei Olam promised Abraham 2 things, a nation and a land, and they are one and the same. The nation without the land and the land without the nation is an incomplete picture. And the Ramban here paints it for you. You can't just live in Uganda. It doesn't work. That's not the point. The whole nation, it's not about nationalism, it's about nationhood. And nationhood, as it is defined for the Jewish people, is living in Eretz Yisrael specifically. What is it about Eretz Yisrael specifically that makes it the land for the Jewish people? This week's parasha, Parashat Aharemot, double parasha this week, Aharemot Kedoshim. The first of the 2 parashot, Parashat Aharemot, talks about, well, first it begins talking about the ceremony that happened on Yom Kippurim, and we read the beginning of the parasha on the morning of Yom Kippur. And towards the end of the parasha, which we read in Mincha of Yom Kippur, talks about the forbidden relations, illicit relations. Coming off of that, the Torah says in source number 3 that if you defile yourself by engaging in these illicit relations, we have a problem. Al titameu b'chol ele. Do not make yourself impure, immoral with these relations. Ki b'chol ele nitmeu hagoyim. This is how the goyim acted. Asher ani mishalech b'berechem, that I'm throwing out. Vatitma haaretz va'avkod avona aleha. Vataki haaretz et yoshveha. The land is spitting them out. Ushmatem atem et chukotai ve'mishpatai. You must fulfill the laws. V'lo ta'asu mikol ha'toravot ha'ele. Don't do any of these horrible things. Ha'ezrach v'ager agar b'tochochem. You or anyone else in the nation. Ki et kol ha'toravot ha'el asu anshe haaretz asher lifnechem. These are the things that the people who are being kicked out did. Vatitma haaretz, and the land became defiled. And if you do the right thing, you won't be spit out. It's an incredible idea. The land has expectations for the people who live in the land. And if you don't meet the expectations of the land that is holy, you can't live in the land. The soil itself is Kodesh. And people who did not live out a life of Kiddusha can't live in the land, and that's what happened here. All these people that are being, by the way, 400 years. Hashem told Abraham, it's going to be 400 years before the Jewish people can move into the land. Why? because the people who were there, he wasn't ready to throw out because they were doing the right things. But once they became immoral, the time came to spit them out because the land can't take it. The land has expectations for the citizens of the country. The soil itself is holy. When I was learning in yeshiva, post-high school, one of my rabbis was Rav Rum. Some of you may have had him. He taught in BMT. He taught where I was in Mevaseret Zion. In between shiurim, Rav Rum would always go out for a cigarette. And he would walk out with his pack of cigarettes and a plastic bag. At one point in the year, one of the students had the goal to ask him, Rabbi, what's with the plastic bag? And he told us that after he smoked the cigarette, he would put the cigarette butts in the plastic bag. Because to put a cigarette butt on the soil of Eretz Israel is to defame the country. Because the soil is holy. And it cannot tolerate anything other than pure morality. And hence, that is the chosen land for the people. The people that is going to be Mamlechet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh has to live in Eretz HaKodesh, has to live in the Holy Land. The two are spouses, the country that is holy and the people that are holy, and the country has expectations for the people. And the Ramban, by the way, continues in that vein in a stroke of very bold statements on this week's parasha. And he writes in source number 4, Kol hadad bechutz ha'aretz. Anybody that lives outside of Israel, domeh kimi she'en lo Eloah. It's like he has no God. It's tantamount to idol worship. That's a very bold statement. Kozman shatem ba'aretz Canaan haiti lachem lelohim en atem be'eretz Canaan kivyachol en ani lachem. Whenever you're in the land, I'm in the land with you. Whenever you're not in the land, I'm not with you. I'm not your God if you're not in the land. It's not only the Canaanim that had this issue. The Egyptians also were an immoral people, but what was the difference? No other land spit out their people because they were immoral. The Egyptians were an immoral people and they were in Egypt for thousands of years because the country can tolerate immorality. Israel can't tolerate immorality. That is the land where the Ramban says Borei Olam's providence and presence is more prevalent than anywhere else in the world. God lives, so to speak, in Eretz Israel, and his presence permeates the air more so than in any country in the world, and you feel it. You get off the plane and you walk the air of Eretz Yisrael and you feel different. Your neshama is alive. It's awakened. There's something in the air that brings the Jewish person to life. And you come home and there's a glow. And then you spend time out of the country and the glow disappears. There is something to be said about the air. Avirad Eretz Yisrael machkima. There's something about the atmosphere of Eretz Yisrael. It's like nourishment for the Yehudi, because the presence of Borei Olam resides in the country. There's a famous story, I'm sure you've all heard it before, told of a young man, Jewish man, who went to West Point. He wanted to be a cadet. And the young man chose to take a course called Military Strategy at West Point. And the course was going to analyze every war that happened, all of the military strategies of each of the countries that have gone to war, to teach the students about what does and doesn't work as common military strategy. Boys sat through the whole course, and they talked about every country, America and England and Germany and Japan, every country that ever had war. Only country not discussed was Israel. The young man, being a religious Jewish boy, took exception to the fact that a whole course was given about military strategy. Israel, youngest country probably in the world, has almost as many wars, if not more, than any other country in the world, and you didn't discuss it once. He wants to say something to the teacher, but in West Point, you don't question authority. He debated, he decides he's going to go to the teacher, high-ranking officer, and he's going to take him to task, and he does. He invites himself into the teacher, high-ranking officer's office, and he says, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm a Jew. I take exception to the fact that a whole course went by. You didn't discuss Israel. I take exception to it. And the officer says, you don't question me here. There will be consequences, but before I give you consequences, let me answer your question as to why I didn't discuss Israel. And he opens up the bottom drawer of his desk, and he takes out a kippah, and he takes out a Tanach, and he takes out a file this thick, and he puts it on the desk. And he says, young man, you should know that I am also a Jew. And I have studied every war that Israel has ever fought, inside and out, upside and down. I can give you minute to minute every single war that they fought. And none of their military strategies make any sense. They should have lost every single war in spades. The only strategy that explains the victory of the Jewish people is the fact that God fought the wars for them. And I can't explain God on a chalkboard. And he got his answer. Because Borei Olam lives and his providence permeates Eretz Israel, Eretz HaKodesh, the land that has moral expectations for its people. And with that, we enter into a very interesting debate between Rashi and the Ramban on Parashat Ekev in Sefer Devarim. Hashem tells the Jewish people about the land that they're about to conquer. And he writes in source number 5, Ki Adonai Elohecha mevi'acha al eretz, this is Moshe talking. Ki Adonai Elohecha mevi'acha al eretz tova, eretz nachale mayim, ayanot u'tomot yotzim b'bikar bahar. God is going to take you to a beautiful land, a land that has springs and streams, and there are valleys and mountains, beautiful scenery. Eretz chita se'ora ve'gefen u'te'ena ve'rimon, eretz zet shemen u'dvash, the famous pasuk, the 7 species, wheat and barley and grapes and figs and pomegranates and olives and dates. Of course, the icon of Eretz Israel is its produce. Eretz asher lo b'miskenu tocha ba'alechem. It's a land where you're going to not have a hard time to eat bread. It's going to give you produce. Lo techsar koba, you'll be missing nothing. Eretz asher avaneha barzel, a land whose rocks are like iron, umeharareha tachsov nechoshet, and whose mountains will give you copper. There is going to be plenty of resources given to you in Eretz Israel. And he continues later on in the parasha in source number 6, Ki ha'aretz asher ata bashama l'rishta, the land that you're coming to inherit, lo ke'eretz Mitzrayim. It's not like Egypt. That's the only land that they remember. Remember, it's been 40 years. So whoever is here now was never in Israel. They were only in Egypt, maybe. And that's the only reference of a country that they have, and he's juxtaposing and contrasting the two. Israel is not like Egypt. How so? That you came out of there. There is a natural irrigation system that you irrigate your produce with your legs, which we'll explain, and it is like a green garden, which is what Lot saw when Abraham told him, choose this way, choose that way. Lot looked, and Sodom reminded him of Eretz Mitzrayim. It was this plush green, and that's what he chose. And with it, immorality. But the land you're going to, Eretz Harim Uvkarot, it's mountainous and there's valleys, and it drinks from the rain. Eretz Asher Adonai Elohecha doresh ota. It is the land where God's presence is. Tamid enei Adonai Elohecha ba, God is always looking over it. Mereshit hashana v'ad acharit hashana, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So question, and if we were together, we'd debate it. Question: is Israel better than Egypt, or is Israel worse than Egypt? Egypt has natural irrigation. Egypt has natural irrigation system. Israel is dependent on the rain. Better or worse? This is a topic of debate between Rashi and the Ramban. Rashi is of the opinion in source number 7, Lo ke'eretz Mitzrayim ela tova hemena. Israel is better than Egypt. ונאמרה הבטחה זו לישראל ביציאתם ממצרים שהיו אומרים שמא לא נבוא אל ארץ טובה ויפה כזו. And this was a promise that was given to the Jewish people originally when they left Egypt, because the people who left were saying, we're never going to see a country like that again. And God says, yes, you will, and you'll see better. אפילו ארץ רעמסס אשר ישבתם בה והיא ממיטב ארץ מצרים שנאמר במיטב הארץ וגומר אף היא אינה כארץ ישראל. Even the best cities in Egypt don't measure up to Israel. Why? And this is the key point. Eretz Mitzrayim hayta tzricha lahavi mayim minilus beraglecha. Egypt, it's true, the Nile runs through Egypt, and that is the natural irrigation system. But you needed to work, right, with your legs. Ulahashkota, you had to feed your farms, your lands. You have to get up in the morning and work. What happened? The Nile, it's true, runs through Egypt. And when the Nile is high in that season, yes, it irrigated the country. But when the Nile was low, when it was dry season, they had to figure out how to get the water from the Nile to their farms. And they were building all kinds of entrapments to bring the water to the higher places, to the lower places, to the valleys. So yes, it's a natural irrigation system, but figuring out how to get the water from the Nile to where you were was a tremendous amount of work. You were walking back and forth, carrying pots of water, building whatever you needed to build to make it work. Aval zo למטר השמיים תשתה מים, אתה ישן על מיטתך, והקדוש ברוך הוא משקה נמוך וגבוה גלוי ושאינו גלוי כאחד. But in Israel, you do the work during the day, you toil and you plow and you dig it, and then you go to bed, and God does the work for you. It rains, high places, low places, covered places, uncovered, everything gets wet. So in Israel, it's much easier. You plant, God takes care of everything else. In Egypt, you had to work to get the water to where you wanted it to be. True, the irrigation system was there, but you had to work. Here, you don't have to work. According to Rashi, Israel is better than Egypt in that regard. The Ramban disagrees. Says the Ramban, Upshuto Shel Mikra, in source number 8, B'derech ha'azharot ne'emar. This was given to the Jewish people as a warning. She'amar lehem ushmartem et kol ha'mitzvah v'rishtem eretz avat chalav dvash. Ki Hashem yiten matar artzechem be'ito, ve'aretz titen yivula, aval de'u lachem, she'ena ke'eretz Mitzrayim lashkot otav beregel, min ha'yeorim o min ha'agamim, kegan hayarak. Ki eretz harim uvka'ot lematar ha'shamayim tishte mayim. He says to the Jewish people, Israel is reliant on the rain. And the rain, as we know from Shema, is only going to fall if you do what you're supposed to do. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, right, what we say quietly in Shema, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, the heavens will be locked up and there will be no rain. So yes, it could be that this could be much easier and that you don't have to work to get the water to where you need to be. God will provide it for you. But you know what the challenge is? The challenge is earning the rain. And in so doing, you need to rise to the moral challenge of living in the holy country, which is supposed to house the holy people. And together, they create the vision of nationhood for what it means to be Am Segula. According to the Ramban, Eretz Israel is more difficult than Egypt, because it comes with the challenge of morality. For the Ramban, dwelling in Israel is a special privilege as well as a great responsibility. Securing the borders is a divine command, but it is a command that must not be associated with a commitment to live but it's a life that which you commit to live an exemplary national and individual life. For the Ramban, Eretz Israel defines what it means to be a Yehudi, and the Yehudi defines what it means to live in Eretz Israel. For 2,000 years, the Jewish people yearned to have the country. In the last 72, we have seen a tremendous miracle and a gift from Borei Olam. We have access to a country that for thousands of years we did not have access to. It is nothing short of miraculous. And this week we celebrate it, and it's a holiday, and it should be seen as a holiday because it's a tremendous gift. It is a day on which we say Hallel. It is a day on which we sing and we dance and we celebrate because we are being reunited with the country that defines who we are and who we are supposed to be as a people. It is a privilege to live in it. It comes with a moral challenge that tells us we expect of you to be Kodesh, just as I, the land, am also Kodesh. On that note, I want to wish everybody a Chag Sameach. We should enjoy the week. We should commemorate those young men and women who have given up their lives to protect what we take for granted and what we haven't had for so many years. And the next day to celebrate that they have given us a gift, they have brought to life a dream, and in as much remember who we are, what the vision is, and how it is we're supposed to get there. Thank you for tuning in, and Chag Sameach.